Hi guys, welcome back to Irish Footy Vlogs. Welcome back to another Premier Division show. Delighted to welcome JP back onto the show as usual at this point. JP, you well?
Oh, good, Keith.
Good stuff. And look, when we were doing this, I was thinking of the game Bohemians and Shelbourne 2-0 at Dalymount Park. But obviously, in the last number of hours, Declan Devine, this will be out on Monday, but Declan Devine obviously lost his job. Now, the wording was a bit weird. It's hard. He probably was sacked, to be honest. But in my personal opinion, I think he wanted out anyway. In terms of the game itself as well, um, he basically walked off the pitch. He didn't come over and applaud the Bohemians fans at the end. And I suppose we'll just start there and just your thoughts. Are you surprised? Is it the right decision? Etc. Etc.
Yeah, I don't think we can be don't think we can be too surprised at the decision, to be honest. I think it has been coming for a while, hasn't it? Probably from the end of last season.
Mm.
I'm actually shocked that they didn't move at the end of the season, and gives a new manager a clean slate. But I think we can be too surprised. I think it's a decision that has been coming um, for a while. I don't think the fans were happy after the cup final last year. And in hindsight, Bohemians probably would have looked back and thought maybe to make the change there.
Mm.
I don't think you can lay all the blame at Declan's door though.
No.
I think the recruitment in the off season has been pretty poor.
And
And
late as well, which isn't ideal for any manager.
uh,
Or on
and
deadline day.
and we know that Declan's not in charge of recruitment there. It's ultimately Pat Fenlon, but Pat Fenlon being an experienced man within the league, and he's managed in Scotland, and he was up north as general manager at Linfield as well. It would make you surprised at how late that Pat left it. They start recruiting these players, and essentially Declan was given absolutely. He was on the hiding from the start of the season. I'm not trying to say that better recruitment would have got better results, but I don't think he was given a chance to get the better results. To be honest with you, look, they were top of the league, I think, in May time last year, and they faded really badly. So it has been something that has been coming from then more than just something that has happened since the cup final. So
Mm.
it'll be interesting now to see what route Bohemians go. We know they're putting Fenlon in charge for the interim, which probably will um, include Derry on Friday night, and then there's the international break where they probably use that time. They source a more permanent replacement. But look, where do Bows go from here is anybody's guess.
Yeah, I mean, I had this before. I was thinking of what to say in terms of Bowes before the sacking by Devine, but like they 4 points on the board, and to be honest with you, that flatters them. If I'm honest, the game against Pats in reality was a smash and grab win, and the draw against Sligo was very fortunate. Actually, Sligo had played them for most of that game too. The game on Friday itself, though, from Bowes' perspective, for a start, before we get on to Shelburne. Um, I thought they were very flat generally. Like, I don't know, like Shelburne had surprisingly more possession in the game in the first half, especially without really hurting balls too much. But even so, balls were sitting back generally. And Shelburne had all the ball. They looked like the team that were more in control of the game. Bowles had a brief spell, 5-10 minutes start of second half, where Paddy Kirk forced a decent save from Kearns, and that was about it. But to be honest, in the game with about 10 minutes to go, I thought it was petering out to a 0-0 until obviously the penalty Jarvis tucks away in 80 minutes. Keane Byrne takes down Sean Boyd. I think it is a penalty, gets a yellow card. And then Bow started to lose a plot a little bit. They started to foul a lot around the pitch. And funnily enough, the second Shelburne goal came from a free kick. Wilson sends a brilliant delivery in for Malloy to head home and give Shelburne the points. But yeah, I mean, there was just a bit of an atmosphere at the end, and I was kind of thinking, could that be it as well for Devine in many ways? But I wasn't sure if he was actually going to leave the club. I think he probably was happy enough to go as well. In my personal opinion, I don't think things were going right there at all. I'd say he was disappointed with the recruitment, but also one of the things as well, you think all the central defenders they signed, he started Flores and Byrne, like, so we kind of ignored the new signings there, which is interesting as well. Maybe that was a little bit of a message as well. I don't know, or I don't really care in that sense, but
Could
you
have
know,
been
hmm?
it could a parting message
Mm,
to Finland, like
mm,
more or less saying, you know what, it's my last game anyway.
yeah.
I'm going to do what I want.
Mm.
Um, but they play two midfielders as at centre back, and a big Dublin derby.
Mm.
Um,
Well, one
it,
midfielder, Keane Burns, a defender, but he's young, like you know what I mean. But as I said, like Flores in there when you've signed a couple of central defenders, like I thought that was interesting pre Devine getting sacked, you know that kind of way. But I suppose I had the Shelburne JP unbeaten, top of the league. They've won four in a row now. I would personally say they grinded out the 3 points here. Without playing particularly well. As I said, it could have petered out to a 0-0 if Byrne doesn't make the challenge, I guess. And of course, if he doesn't make the challenge, maybe Sean Boyd scores, actually, in fairness. So, but they were probably the better side despite not playing brilliantly. I think that's the point, too. One or two opportunities. Paddy Barrett actually had a shot in the first minute. It was an opportunity free kick. He nearly lobbed the keeper and they had a couple of opportunities. But overall, they were just okay in the game and they got the 3 points. But as I said, it's another clean sheet. It's a massive win. Another Dublin derby win for Shells as well. And as I said, 4 wins on the bounce, top of the league, flying, only conceded 2 goals.
yeah, well, they done the same down at Waterford, didn't they? Where Duff admitted they were poor for an hour, and was it four substitutions he made on the hour mark in that game, and
Yeah.
they, they got themselves a point out of it.
Mm.
And like you said, now they didn't play particularly well in this game, and they've won. So that's 4 points from two games where they didn't exactly play well, and that bodes well. So it does. It helps you build a platform, build confidence. Um, we all knew that from the season that they had last year, they recruited well. They were always going to be Shelburne were always going to be improving this year. Um, you just don't know how much of that that comeback at Waterford would have on their season, because if they're going to lose that, I'm not saying that their season would be a poor season, but they maybe don't go on and win the next four games.
Mm.
That last half hour at Waterford probably has given them confidence that they can go anywhere and pick up points. And not that they would need it, but because Duff is pretty confident anywhere he goes anyway.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, you have to give them absolute credit. The way they finished last season and got into fourth place. And they're determined to kick on this year. And they're top of the league, unbeaten, 4 wins out of five. To say they've only conceded 2 goals, and that's how good teams are built. They're built from the back, and that's exactly what Damien Duff has given them. Um, they, they just keep going to the very end, don't they? Like they had a great one against Shamrock Rovers a few weeks ago, where I think they started off well in that game, and then it flipped around, and they had to defend for their lives. They see out the 3 points, but yeah, Shelburne they're not going to be no mugs. And look, I don't see them being in the title shake-up come the end of the season, but they'll very much be in the shake-up for Europe, and they could well be a threat in the cup as well. But look, it's early days to be making them kind of predictions, because we just don't know how the season's going to pan out. But look, it's a fantastic start for them, and Shelburne fans and Damien Duff will be hoping that long may continue. And I think what it does do, Keith, is it shows you how good of a decision it was from the 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 consortium. They go to uh, the old owner and say, we want the club back, because he was determined that he was going to get somebody in that was going to play a similar way to Hull City. And it just shows you that they made the right decision in that, because if Damien Duff had a if they the old
He would
consortium
have been
were
gone out of the club, to be honest with you.
if they had let him walk, you just don't know where Shelburne would be. So it's been an absolute brilliant decision by them, and they'll be hoping that it pays off, not just in the short term, but in the long term. And look, when I first started following Derry, Shelburne were one of the biggest clubs in Ireland. They probably the biggest club, in terms of winning titles, etc. And then it all just went pear shaped in the mid 2000s. And it's for Irish football, it's great to see Shelburne back competing in the Premier Division at the top end of it. And yeah, long may it continue, because I've loved the battles with Shelburne over the year. And look, Damon Duff's doing a fantastic job down there.
Yeah, at the Brandywell, they finished Derry City 3, Waterford FC nil. This is Derry's third win on the bounce at the Brandywell. They've won 3 games, obviously, in a row, the Brandywell, but they're unbeaten still. Hoban hat-trick, is 6 goals in 5 games, top scorer in the league. 41 minutes, 45 minutes. That was the bicycle kick, wasn't it? Deep into stoppage time, the end of the first half. 2 minutes, Hoban converted a penalty in which Darragh Leahy was sent off for pulling back Paul McMullen, JP as well. And you wouldn't really argue with that decision. Penalty, red card, because he's not even attempting to play the ball. If anyone's wondering what the difference is actually between the penalty that Shelbourne got and the penalty Derry got in that way, is that Keane Byrne actually made an attempt to get the ball and Leahy didn't. So that's why one was a red and one was a yellow. But big win for Derry City, as I said before. Must be happy with the performance. As I said, Hoban is flying already. He's hit the ground running, JP, and he's given Derry everything they would have hoped for, hasn't he?
Absolutely. I seen a stat on Friday night um, by one of the journalists from Derry, and it was Derry's top goal scoring striker last year had scored 5 goals, and Pat Hoban has got 6 in his first five
5,
games.
yeah. Yeah.
The only game he hasn't scored is not 0-0 away at Drogheda. And it's an impressive start because he was coming up here not with point to prove, but there was a lot of people throughout the league were trying to write him off and say he was done, he picked up injuries,
I
etc.
think they were more hoping he was written off.
I think they were, and even sometimes maybe some Derry fans were skeptical of it because of his age, etc., and how maybe players in the past have scored goals against Derry for fun, and scored goals for fun for opposition, and then come to Derry and haven't been able to reproduce that form. But Patrick Hoban's just showing how much of a quality player he is, not just on the ball and off the ball. It's what he does off the ball as well. He gets the team up the pitch when it goes up to him. He managed to hold it up. He holds defenders off, and he brings other people into play. And it's just an absolute phenomenal signing. And Rory Higgins touched upon it a few weeks ago that his um, signing Pat Hoban gives the likes of Colin Whelan a chance to recover properly. So he's not rushed back. I think there was a wee bit of a feeling that he was Whelan was rushed back into action last year because Derry were struggling for goals, etc. And
Mm.
I think with the form of Pat Hoban, Colin Whelan up, he'll probably be sitting in the sidelines thinking, "How am I going to get into this team?" But I think,
Especially when Daniel Mullen has come in and got a couple of goals.
yeah, he's got a couple of goals as well, and it just speaks volumes of Pat Hoban's attitude. And one of the interviews he did afterwards, that he was a wee bit disappointed that Derry didn't go for more goals at 3-0 and playing against them men. But I
He's a
think
standard bearer, though.
he is
Yeah.
like, and I totally agree with him. It would have been,
But
look,
JP, that bicycle kick from Hooven, I mean, a bit outrageous, yeah?
oh, Keith, it was just a goal out on a hundred. To be honest with you, I think it was deep in the stoppage time, and Derry, I think, were Waterford, I think, we're just content to get into half time at 1-0 because they conceded so close to half time the first goal, which was
Mm.
a great bit of play
That was
because
probably a
Derry
killer for them, actually, really, in reality, as well.
because Derry got a free kick sort of just midway between the halfway line and the penalty box, and a great bit of vision from Paul McMullen to spot the run of Duffy, and he found him. And as soon as Duffy had made the run, Hoban had made the run to the middle, and Duffy found him. It was a tap in. I think it came off Darragh Leahy on the way, but Hoban claimed it. But the bicycle kick was just outrageous. It was a ball in the box, and Mark Conley wins a header, and Hoban just improvises and does an overhead kick, and it ends up in the back of the net. Um, I, I think when you're looking back at that, if you're Waterford, you're disappointed because it's a free kick. It's not close to your box. Conley
Mm.
Derry won the first header, but not only that, it bounces past 2 Waterford players before it gets to Hoban, and then nobody stops him from doing the overhead kick. Then when Derry got the penalty, there was only one man was going to take it, and it was Patrick Hoban, and against Shamrock Rovers, he went to the keeper's right. Today, on
Mm.
Friday night, he went to keeper's left, and the keeper went the other way. So yeah, it was, and if I'm not mistaken, I think he might have been involved in the build up to the penalty. I think he may have won the header or something that sent Paul McMullen through him. I'm not too sure on that, but I think he was involved at some point in that. So it's not just what he does in the penalty box; it's his all round play is pretty good as well. Um, a fantastic performance by him, and long may it continue.
Disappointed a little bit with Waterford on the night.
Yeah, I was expecting a wee bit more of them, Keith, because of the way they had started, and especially them results that they got against away at Drogheda, which is not an easy place to go, and home to St Pat's. Now, considering what I had watched St Pat's the week before, they put on a good performance for an hour against Derry. But when Derry upped the tempo a wee bit, St Pat's couldn't cope with them, and I don't know what way the game against Waterford had went. But
Mm.
some of the goals that Pats conceded against Waterford was probably you could call schoolboy defending. So,
Mm.
but going on the basis of the results that they got, I was disappointed. I expected a wee bit more from them. I think what their game plan was to come in and sit in and try and use their pace on the counter to catch Derry out. But one thing Derry did was they never allowed that situation to happen.
Just going to say that Derry did their homework on them there.
It looked like they did, and even the son that I commented on during the game was Asamoah and Parsons. Never once did they get the chance they run
Mm.
um, at Ben Doherty or Ronan Boyce because Derry were so dominant on the ball
Mm.
and off the ball that they closed out the channels, and they obviously did their work, and it was a brilliant performance all around from Derry. And like as I said, I was disappointed we didn't go. I'm probably being a wee bit harsh on them, and I'm not meaning they,
Mm.
but I think they'd won the game, 3-0 up. They'd won the game, and it was just about preserving energy basically. Not that you need it at this start of the season, but they played 3 games in the space of 7 days, and they were well on their way to 7 points. So I can fully understand why they had done what they done. But Pat Hoban is a fantastic signing. He's now the top goal scorer in the league already. And uh, if I was our fans of our teams in this league, I'd be getting very worried.
Yeah, it finished Galway United 0, Drogheda United 0 at Eamon DC Park. And again, pitch wasn't in great condition, by the way, Daily Mount as well. Very bumpy and stuff. I kind of forgot to mention that. But the pitches all round are great at the moment. Galway's pitch isn't any better either. And it's not a criticism of the clubs or anything. It's just that time of the season, the way the weather has been. But it's funny because Drogheda, obviously, a couple of weeks ago, were beaten well at home to Waterford 4-1. They were dreadful at set pieces. Kevin Doherty was giving out hell about that. They've come back and got 4 points from 2 games. And I said at the time, I mentioned at the time that that was an unusual performance from Drogheda where they kind of, they weren't doing the things they'd usually do and usually have fight and hunger. So that was unusual for them. But they've come back with fighting and that hasn't surprised me at all. The point today in DC Park, I think, was a good point for them because they had to deal with an awful lot of set pieces in this game, an awful lot of set pieces, and they dealt with them actually very well in general. There was one I know cleared off the line where Deegan does clear it off the line, but in the main, they dealt very well. Evan Weir was very good at the back. He made a great clearance where Carl Sullivan looked like he was going to finish, but Evan Weir comes in and makes the clearance. But they should have had a penalty draw at it before we talk about Galway in this game, I think, as well. It looked like it was Darren Markey, I think, who hit the shot, and it might have been Conor McCormick who handled it goalkeeper style. I'm not really too sure why that one wasn't given, JP. Are you?
No, not when I watched the back. Like the referee was right up at it, so there was no,
Mm,
and he wasn't like looking through any bodies. Um, I just I don't know why it was given. Maybe did he think that the distance but
mm,
between the shot and the block was that didn't warrant a handball, or did he think it hit another part of the body?
Unless he
I
thought it
think
hit another part of the body, but there'd be the fans screaming at this saying, how would he think that? But he does, he kind of, it's a goalkeeper type save though with his hands as well. It's not as if it's definitely a handball, isn't it, for sure? Like, it's
yeah,
hand
it
to
was a hundred
ball to hand, like.
it was 100% handball.
Mm,
It should have been given, and I think Drogheda can be a wee bit disappointed
mm,
that one wasn't given.
mm,
Um,
mm,
and look, in these type of matches, you're looking for, when it's a tight game, etc. You're looking for these kind of decisions to go your way, and unfortunately for Drogheda, it didn't. Um, and going back to the pitch, look, it's that time of year. We do play a summer league, but we do eat into the winter Irish side of it. So I think it's just about the clubs trying to get through this period. When we get into the spring, the spring months and the summer months where the pitch will improve, and no doubt the football will improve. Um, but look, Galway will and Drogheda both will probably relatively be happy with the point.
Galway
But
fourth at the moment in 7 points, actually, and funnily enough, Waterford is still third in 7 points. So, well, again, Galway would take that like first 5 games, and whereas they felt at times in this game maybe they could have nicked it. At the same time, I think Drogheda did enough anyway defensively, and they were much stronger defensively. They got their bodies in the line. Hickey had a chance near the end with a header. He's big lads, about 6'5". But he was put under pressure from Jack Keeney, and that's the point. He doesn't get a free header. Keeney does enough. That's something Drogheda didn't do, say, against Waterford. So I think Doherty would be delighted with that. But at the same time, I think Caulfield and obviously Horgan will be happy with the way they approach the game and happy with the pressure they put on Drogheda. And both teams that you can see generally will fight tooth and nail every season or all season for points on the board. And at this minute in time, I wouldn't see any of these clubs finishing in the bottom two, and that can change. But I think Drogheda are going to get a bit better, and I think Galway are going to be very hard to beat, especially at Eamon Deasy.
yeah, as I can't see either of these two being near the bottom. I don't think at the start of the season. I don't think I put these two near the bottom. I think
I'd
I look
Galway bottom.
I think I looked more at Sligo and Dundalk,
Mm,
for them two positions rather
mm,
than Galway, Drogheda, or you can throw Waterford in there because they were
mm,
one of the
mm,
teams as well.
mm,
Um, but look, in the end, no matter what you're trying to achieve in a league, your home form is your most important. If you can get your home form right and pick up a few points away from home, you'll not be far away from making your achievements. And this is what these two teams will be looking at. And Drogheda, like, they got off to a bad start away at Derry and home to Waterford, where they lost both games. And they've now picked up 4 points in their other two games with the game with Shamrock Rovers being called off in between.
mm,
So I'm sure they'll be relatively happy with the response to the opening two games.
mm,
They may be disappointed that they didn't come away with 3 points from Galway. But look,
mm.
as I've mentioned before, the opening 5, 6 games is all about building a platform for yourself. They work upon, and look, that's exactly, like, Drogheda have got off the ground now, and they'll be looking to kick on. As will Galway. They were disappointed with the result that they got on Monday night at Shelburne, where they lost narrowly.
Mm.
But
At the same time, Shelburne on top of the league and flying, so you kind of take that as a decent narrow defeat, if that makes sense.
yeah, so they're not being too disappointed on anything. John Caulfield touched upon that they weren't going to dwell on it too much. They were going to put it behind them and go again, and that's exactly what you have to do. And when you've got 10 teams in this league that's going to be competitive, you can't dwell on your defeats too much. You have to get back in the saddle and go again. And for, it's a good point, I think, when you look at it for both teams.
Yeah, Richmond Park finished St. Patrick's like 1, Dundalk 0, and a lot of people felt both managers are under a lot of pressure going into this game, particularly O'Donnell probably. But notably, both goalkeepers were dropped for this game. In Ken Rogers in goal for Pats, who I think is a solid pair of hands, let's say. So it's probably the right decision. And Munro came in for Dundalk in goal and actually made some good saves in this game too. But Pats reverted back to more or less, JP, the system of last season, kind of a 4-2-3-1 system, but Lennon was definitely the anchor, let's say, as opposed to a double pivot. Forrester was a bit further forward. Levy did play as a number 10, but at times dropped back with Forrester, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? And leaving Lennon as the anchor. Keeshan scored his second goal of the season. Redmond was back in his natural, let's say, centre-backs type position. But yeah, for Pats, they won the game. Probably a more confident Pats team probably would have won it more comfortably, if I'm honest with you. They had chances to kill the game. And at the end, I don't know if you've seen Luke Turner's tackle, some tackle on Jamie Gullen, but that's where you can get caught. Pats were 1-0 up, didn't kill the game, and they had a bit of a chance for a minute there, Dundalk. I think Keith Tracy rightfully said Gullen maybe should take that on his left foot, but Turner does brilliantly to get across and get a brilliant tackle in there. And it's just important for Pats, I suppose, to have gotten any kind of 3 points in this particular match. And they're probably unlucky with one of the goals that were disallowed as well. I don't think Forrester does an awful lot wrong there at all, and I think the keeper makes a hash of it. So that could give you the 2-0 platform. But ultimately, look, it's 3 points for Pats, and Dundalk are still bottom of the league in 1 point, though.
Yeah, it would make you wonder why John Daly changed from.
It's frustrating, and I think, in my opinion, it's frustrating.
It would make you wonder why he
Mm.
changed from what was successful from last year.
Mm.
Where they, for a point that they were looking close, they running Shamrock Rovers
Yeah.
close for the league. The people were even tipping them to finish second. Ahead of Derry, and they went on to win the cup. And why would you change from that? I understand that different managers and coaches have different ideas and they want to implement that, but do it gradually. Don't do it.
Mm.
Um,
We could argue
uh,
it's cost them 2 matches against Pohls, who've really struggled, by the way, and Waterford.
yeah,
You could argue that. And even now with this win, it still puts you under pressure. You feel like you have to win again next week and stuff like that, in that kind of way. But yeah, I don't know. There's only one man who can answer that question, I suppose.
yeah, yeah. But look, he's done. He's done what he's done. It's in the past. He's trying to rectify it. He's gone a long way to doing it. He's brought Danny Rogers in, who was there last year, wasn't he?
Mm. Mm.
He was behind.
I just think
Uh,
the defense will feel a bit safer with him in goal. Like, he might be necessarily the best goalkeeper in the league, but he's what you'd call a safe goalkeeper. He does the basics right, that kind of way.
yeah, and I think when I spoke about this, was it last week or the week before, that Damien Duff had a similar situation a couple of years ago with Webb from Swansea, and he was costing Shelbourne points, and
Yeah.
Duff just took him out and put in his tried and trusted in Brendan Clark, and that's what John Daly has done, because he's recognised that if he doesn't, he could very much be out of a job if it continued.
Mm.
Whether he will keep Marcelo Pitaluga out of the team indefinitely will remain to be seen. But why change a winning formation? Brought Danny Rogers in. They've kept a clean sheet. They've won the game.
They also
Um,
got, quickly before I forget to mention, they did get players close to Keishan as well. One of the things that wasn't happening, like Levy for the goal. In fact, I know it's your typical Highline Dundalk scenario, by the way, with the goal. And but Brandon Kavanagh is right up there with Keishan. He flicks it on to Keishan, and Munro makes a save, but then Keishan scores the rebound. But there was another move in the game as well where the ball, it was a long ball in fairness to Keishan, but he knocks it down and Levy's only a yard away from him. In the end, Levy ends up getting a shot away in goal. It just seems like simple stuff that could easily be, implemented, that wasn't implemented. And I just find that strange personally, but all those changes were rectified, I suppose, in this game anyway.
yeah, well, when you look at the goal Keaton scored, the
Mm.
Brandywell, the reason he took a shot on was because he had nobody up with him. And whether it was a hit and hope,
Mm.
only he'll know. But it turned out to end up in the back of net, and he's got himself another goal now. Um,
Mm.
we have seen that he will score goals if you give him a service.
Definitely,
He,
yeah.
he can't do it all on his own. He needs help. You said there that this game they got closer to him, and that's
Mm.
exactly what they need to do. Um, and whether the change of formation has it helped with that
Mm.
remains to be seen. But I think they've got Shelbourne next weekend. I'm not sure if it's home or away,
It's a
but
Richmond Park, yeah.
it'll be a test for them to see whether they continue with this, or do they go back to what they did, and having lost three in a row by playing the way they did,
Mm.
I'd be shocked to see them going back to that. Stick they'll have to stick at this for a couple of games and see how it goes. And yeah, they'd be disappointed that they didn't put the game to bed, and it very nearly cost them the end, and a great tackle by Turner at the end, because it did look like it was a
Mm.
certain goal. And had that gone in, it could have been so much different for St. Pat's and John Daly in terms of the outside noise on etc. But look, they're off the mark again, and they'll look to kick on now. And
Mm.
they lost their last Dublin derby against Pohls at Richmond Park, and they'll not want to do the same this week against Shelbourne.
Yeah, as for Dundalk, it's still bottom of the league. I don't think like it was a better performance. Was it ever going to be not a better performance than the Sligo performance? And as I said, Pats probably should have had the game won before that as well. You never know if Pats got the second, would they've completely collapsed Dundalk? I don't know. But better performance, but still an awful lot of questions for Dundalk to answer, isn't there?
I don't know where Dundalk go, Keith, to be honest. Um, we talked about Bohemians recruitment being poor and being late. Dundalk was just equally as poor and late, if not worse.
Mm,
Um, they've signed a lot of players from the Scottish
market, yeah.
lower leagues, and that's not going to get you success in the League of Ireland.
I think there
It's
was four
not.
or
And
five starters from those players, by the way, too. Looking at it
over
there.
five starters, even if you're maybe signing one or two, like
Mm,
Derry have done with McMullen and Danny Mullen, but I'm not trying. Obviously, the budget that Derry have to Dundalk is different, and Derry have built the team over the last couple of years. They allow the likes of Danny Mullen and Paul McMullen to come in and be better players. But when you're bringing four or five of those type of players in from, they were coming in from League One in Scotland, League Two, rather. I don't think they were coming in from the Championship. Um, and trying to put all them into a team,
mm.
they compete in a division that it's a much higher standard is difficult. And Stephen O'Donnell will know that. And look, Declan Devine was the first manager they depart, and I think if it keeps going the way it is, I think O'Donnell will not
JP, do
be
you not
part of
think as well, though, if you're conceding a lot of goals and a lot of chances like Dundalk have been against Galway, for example, Sligo, and even against Pats, to be honest, that you'd not look to flip and sit in a little bit and try and get the basics right before and fight maybe for results, make yourself a bit harder to beat for a start. Would that not be a help?
Well, that's normally what you do, isn't it? But Keith, we've been talking about this for about 2 years. We
I think
O'Donnell and
Dundalk
Dundalk.
fans have cottoned onto it now as well, to be honest with you.
We've talked about this for a couple of years,
Mm,
and it goes back to when O'Donnell's first season was there, and I remember one game in the FA Cup away at Wexford, and
yeah.
if Wexford had a better attacking force, they'd have put Dundalk out of the cup that night.
Mm,
There were so many chances created with the high line, and I don't understand why teams when they play a high line and they're getting caught all the time,
mm.
why do they not
But you're
just
playing
drop
a
back?
high line, JP, with the likes of Andy Boyle there, who finds it very difficult to turn and chase back. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's as you say, sit in, grind a few wins out, grind a few points on the out, and just build from there.
Mm.
And I think
At this point,
that
he's not going to do that, is he?
something has to change for Dundalk. Otherwise, they're going to get cut adrift. We didn't think there would be a UCD this year, but if Dundalk keep going the way they are, they could well be the UCD. And
One goal in 4 games and 9 conceded.
we we, we talked about and that goal was a stunning free kick away
Mm.
at Shamrock Rovers. And we talked about John Daly there changing from what was trusted and then having to go back there. I don't see if O'Donnell didn't change the high line when his teams was doing fairly well, but we're still getting caught. But they had the attacking force to get them out
Yeah,
of out of that trouble.
yeah.
I don't see him changing, but if he wants to save his job, he's going to have to do something.
I think he's under serious pressure. I really do. It finished Sligo Rovers nil, Shamrock Rovers nil Saturday night, JP, and again the pitch wasn't in great condition, and Stephen Bradley was giving out about it. But to be fair, again, there's a lot of pitches. They go to Galway next week, Shamrock Rovers as well, so he'll be complaining about that one too, unless they win, of course. But no, 0-0 in this match, and seemed like Sligo were the better side overall in this game. JP, they carved more openings than Shamrock Rovers did in the game. There was a really good chance for Ellis Chapman, which Cleary does well to clear off the line, but if he finds a corner, It's a
Yeah,
goal. It's as simple as that, particularly that corner on the right. Like, I think the pitch doesn't help. J.R. Wilson plays a pass across and kind of scutters along to Chapman. So he's the waiting
yeah.
age first as opposed to, hit it first time. So I don't think it helped
Gives
him there
the
at
chance
all.
to get on the line. Yeah,
Exactly. I don't think it helped him at all there. But Shamrock Rovers, from their point of view, I would say a disappointing enough performance. Of course, Pico Lopez did start the game. He will take a while probably to get into it too, but there had a few chances here and there, but nothing massive. The big talking point in the game is Leon Pohls. He comes flying out of the goal and takes the pacey Simon Perry out of it, receives a yellow card. Now, first of all, I would say it's not a red in terms of players on the cover. There were two Shamrock Rovers players on the cover. But the question is, did the challenge itself deem a red? And do you know what? I'll be honest. I've watched it 5 or 6 times. I'm still not sure. What's your thoughts on that one?
I think initially people were looking for a red card
Mm,
on the basis of denying an obvious goal scoring opportunity, which
that's not the case
that,
for sure.
that
Anyway,
that's not the
no.
case. He's going away from goal. Plus, he's going towards the corner flag. Plus, there's two defenders
Mm.
around on the cover. I've even I've even slowed the video down. Watching it, they try and see what sort of contact was made, and I don't think he's tackled him.
Ran into him.
I don't. I think he's made sure that he hasn't got past him.
Mm.
I don't think he. There's people saying, "Oh, he's tackled him in the hip or whatever," but I think
Mm.
what he's done is he's ran into him at speed to make sure that Simon Poyer's not going to get past him.
And you have to
Um,
bear in mind, we're talking about this and saying we've watched it a few times and we're not really too sure on that. And like, we're not a Shamrock Rovers or a Sligo Rovers fan. Like, but the referee, in fairness, sees that at speed
mm,
once and he has to
mm,
make a decision pretty much immediately. So
yeah.
unless he's certain it's a red card, in which he probably isn't certain, I think
Uh,
it's the right decision. I think he's come to the right decision in the situation, if that makes sense.
I agree. I agree. I don't think it. I don't think it's a red.
Mm.
I think the speed of it makes it look worse than what it is. I've seen a few comments of it was assault.
No, it's
And
clumsy. It's clumsy.
clumsy from Leon Pohls.
Mm.
But I think when he realizes he's not going to get there, he's making sure Simon Poyer's not going to get past him. And I don't think he's actually kicked him. He's
No.
just blocked him. But at speed, it makes it look absolutely worse. Look, if if you're playing, there's comments that if that had been Ed McGinty, he would have been sent off. We don't know that.
We don't. That's just hearsay. Yeah, you can't say that. Like, you know what I mean. Someone will show a clip next week or something, and they'll say, "Look what happened here." But what will happen here? There'll be no player in the cover or something like that. You know what I mean? And I've seen a few people saying if it happened outfield, I can understand that to a degree. But you don't see that type of challenge outfield, really. You're not seeing where players come flying. Really, it's not like the goalkeeper's coming off his line. You know what I mean? You don't see that outfield. That's not a thing you see outfield.
No, no, you don't. Like it's one of them ones that it's divided opinion. But I
Mm.
think if we'd VAR in the League of Ireland, I don't think they would give
Mm.
that as a red card.
No, I don't think
I,
it
I,
would.
I really do. And let's not forget that it happened down the linesman's side as well. So
Mm.
Rob Hennessy didn't rush to the yellow card. He took his time. He thought about it. He's probably
Mm.
spoke to his linesman in his earpiece
But as
and
well as
asked
I
him.
was looking at the two players who were probably down injured as well, to see checking them. But yeah, yeah,
And he's asked him. He's probably asked his linesman for his opinion, or his
yeah.
linesman has probably already give it.
Mm.
He's probably already communicated that as soon as it happened. But
Mm.
look, it's one of them ones. If it happens against your team, you're looking for a red card,
Mm.
and I fully understand Sligo fans' frustration on it.
I can, but from my point of view, when I look at these things, I genuinely I try to be honest on my personal opinion on it. Regardless, even if Pats are playing, I try to be honest. Like, not if it's against them, let's say like the Bowes penalty the other week or whatever at the time, or whatever. But like that's all you can do. Obviously, fans are always going to roar the opposite or whatever. If you're a Sligo Rovers fan, a Rovers fan will probably say you shouldn't have got a yellow card. A Shamrock Rovers fan, I should say. Probably say he shouldn't even got a yellow card. You know, that kind of way. But I suppose the game itself, again, Sligo seemed to play quite well in this game. And look, they've started well. And again, they'll be disappointed in terms of the points they've on the board to the way they've played. But they're looking good for me. They're looking like a possible contender for Europe. There's more fight, I think, in this team with the type of players they have at the club as well. J.R. Wilson has settled in really well. And you mentioned Ed McGinty. I think he's having a serious settling effect on that team too. He's been a massive signing for them, in my opinion.
Oh, he has, and like it's a shrewd bit of business from Sligo to get him back on loan, and the same with Max Mata at the other end of the pitch. Um, but I tipped Sligo to be in the bottom two, but that was
But,
that,
didn't have Matt and McGinty when I done my table, for example?
that exactly whenever whenever I predicted that they hadn't signed Max Mata. I think they'd signed McGinty, but
They
it
might have
wasn't
signed
too,
McGinty actually, as far as I remember, yeah. But I
it
think I'd
wasn't
said they could finish fifth or ninth was my attitude. I was really unsure on them, if I'm honest. Either way.
I wasn't too confident on the other players that signed. Like
Mm.
there was talked about Simon Power, he was at Shamrock Rovers. Um, and his problem is staying fit, but if they can keep him fit, they've got an incredible player
Him and
there.
Hartman. I think if they keep him and Hartman fit, I think they're crucial. They're as good as anyone as such in those positions.
Is Hartman still on loan from Leipzig?
He is, yeah. He is still on loan, yeah, yeah.
Is he here this summer or end the
That's
season?
the
Or
point. We with one or two of these players, and that could make a big difference in their salt. Let's say for Europe or not, is how many of these lone players are here till summer that they might be able to get again, etc. That can be the messy thing. But I suppose from Shamrock Rovers' point of view, JP, we're here again with them. 4 games in, they've only 3 points, no wins, and look, I do think they will come roaring back. I know they'll come roaring back. The only difference is this time I don't think they can go too far away from Derry. They can't go, I don't know, say 10 points with all their games played or something silly like that away from Derry this season, because I do think they are a different animal with Hoban as well. And look, they really need to get going, because I don't think their performance in this game was great either. That's the other problem, I think. Their performance wasn't great. If anything, Sligo Rovers deserve to win this match.
yeah, you think back to that late equaliser on Monday night. Um, it's already proven crucial because they're what is it 8 points behind.
Yeah,
Without
so
that,
they'd be 10 points behind. I know they'd have a game in hand, but psychologically, if they'd lost that too, at home to Derry.
yeah, they if they had lost that, yeah, they would be on. They'd only be on 2 points, so they would, and
Mm,
Derry would be on 12, would it?
yeah.
So
But Derry be on 13, wouldn't they? Because
I
that's a
think they're on
2x.
13.
13,
So
sorry,
they'd
yeah.
be 11 points behind, so they would without that, and that would be with a game in hand,
Mm,
which would only cut it the 8 points, and that's what 5 games into the season. So I agree with you. I don't think they can go too far in front. I'm not exactly sure what they were behind last year when they turned it
mm.
around, but
I know, but I don't think Derry after 5 games had 3 wins and
yeah,
two draws, for example.
but that my point is
Yeah.
they can't they won't be able to. What they did last year was they won the league because they were better than the rest. I don't think they were more consistent.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
if you think
No one
um,
else proved good enough in the end, I don't think. The point
exactly,
is, if there's someone good enough this season, that's going to be very hard to
do you
make
think
up.
do you think back a couple of years ago where they went on an 11 match winning run? I think it was
Mm,
they didn't do that kind of
mm.
run last year. And I think what Shamrock Rovers are missing is a front man. Basically, I know they've Gaffney and Green, but they're both in their late 30s.
Mm,
Um, and then I don't think they've replaced Manas. I think they've given Leon Pohls a chance.
mm,
They prove himself, but very rarely do you see
mm.
somebody who's played a number two. They such a quality keeper. Very rarely do you see them make the step up.
He's
Um,
okay. He's just not top tier, let's say.
yeah, I remember going back when Shamrock Rovers were the team that was trying to overtake Dundalk after Cork hit, hit got relegated, and I always felt that Rovers were every year seemed to be going through a different keeper. And when they signed Alan Manis, it seemed to
Mm-hmm.
be the final piece of the jigsaw. They're now back at that situation where is not having a quality keeper going to affect them 1 and 5 in a row. And I'm not saying Leon Pohls is not quality,
Mm-hmm.
but he's not of the Brian Maher
Mm-hmm.
standard. He's not of the Alan Manis standard.
I don't think
And
he's McGinty or Kearns either. The other some in the league at the moment,
no,
for example.
and look, it's unfair to put it all on him.
Mm.
But I think if Rovers are going to reel in, we have to look at Shelburne because they're the team at the top of the league. But essentially, over the course of the season, you would think that Derry are going to be the team that are going to be at the top, but Shamrock Rovers are going to try and catch. Over the course of the season, for Rovers to do that, I think they need a strong keeper. And I think Derry have Pat Hoban this year compared to last year. And like Derry have come from behind in a couple of games this year, or so they came from behind against Pats and won. They came from behind at Rovers and got a point. Um, and the reason for that was Pat Hoban, where maybe last year Derry lost them 2 games. So Derry are picking up points now in situations where they didn't before. And Shamrock Rovers will be worried about that.
Mm.
But at the end of the day, they have to concentrate on themselves and get themselves going because it was 6 games last year before they got a win. They're now 4 games already and they haven't picked up a win. They're away to Galway next week, which will be easy, especially if you've touched on the pitch there, which is probably in worse condition than what Sligo was. But um, I think at this stage of the season, I've said it already, um, you can't worry about the pitches. Get the results. The pretty football can come in the summer months. But at this stage of the season, just get yourselves a result. Um, and Shamrock Rovers right now aren't doing that. And the 5 in a row, um, if they fall any further behind, the 5 in a row will be very difficult to achieve.
Yeah, be very interesting to see what Shamrock Rovers fans think about that, or any fans of the league. Guys, let us know what you think in the comments. Subscribe to the channel, and we'll talk to you again. Thanks, JP.
Thanks, Keith.
Right.